for white people, I think this always comes back to witch trials, and it's so important to understand the like history of witch burnings in Europe, right? Like white people burning hundreds of thousands of women who were slightly different for any reason, right? And
Yeah.
then
Hmm.
in America, much fewer, but still that very significant history of witch trials. And it's like that rocked white culture, right? To the point
Yeah.
that from the 60s,
A lot of them weren't white though.
yeah. I mean, I just think that
Like
like,
the people burned. But
oh
yeah,
yeah,
they
yeah,
love
yeah.
that.
And I just think that from the 1600s to basically now, right? It has been seen as no, it's too dangerous to be a woman who stands out in any way. Right? So whether that's
Mm,
by not having kids, whether that's by making too
I
much
see.
money, whether that's by being too vocal, whether that's just by doing your own thing, it's dangerous.
Hmm.
And that is, I think, like deeply in the DNA of being, I don't know if it's American woman or white. It's my Rapture outfit. Did you not hear? White Jesus is coming back today for the white people.
Oh, okay. Yeah, this is some white people stuff. You might as well wear white for it. Whoa. Okay. Because you came on, for those who cannot see what I'm looking at, Daniela is wearing white. Uh,
All white.
and all types of white, which, you know, isn't typical. And it's, you notice it. And my immediate thought was Mormon, just because I've been watching this other white lady I listen to, white lady books. There's a white lady YouTube I watch, which is Alyssa Grunfeld, who does ex-Mormon stuff. And holy whiteness, just call that white feminism. I don't know. And so when I saw you, because I just saw a video, there's like a picture that she has in the back of a video where she's talking about how racist, racism in the church. And
Mhm.
I love it. I think she's a white lady who stays in her lane, but does a really good job. But the picture, all these old men in this all white outfit. And then you say Rapture, and I'm like,
It's one of,
Jehovah's
like, the
Witnesses is
culty
this one.
things when they do all white.
Oh, it doesn't look, I mean, it's nothing. It's just, oh my God, that's another wash white people do. Washed out. They'll wash brains. They'll wash books, whitewash books, whitewash, bombs and stuff. They won't whitewash their legs. They won't wash their butts, but they'll wash out. Whoa.
I always wondered why, like, we have this idea that we all look so good in white, like, for weddings, whereas I'm like,
And
I
that blonde
look
looks good.
quite washed out. Oh my gosh, with, like I actually battled that. Battled it, like, not consciously, but just subconsciously, where I was like, "I don't understand. I don't understand. I know blonde washes me out. I know I don't look as good." But in my mind, when I wanna be pretty, like, for my wedding, it was, like, classic blonde. And it was like, I had gotten
And
to
for us,
that
it's
level of the
straight.
language, and then I started
My
doing
hair didn't
more of this work,
look
and that
better.
was when when I said it out loud, like, when
Yep.
I think of myself as attractive, I think of blonde, and I was like, "Oh, it's
But
propaganda."
You but you are more attractive to whomst.
Right.
I don't think it's a whomst, I think it's to whom, but I just wanted to add those letters. You're more attractive to someone looking to target. You are a better target. If you do all of these things, that's how you fit better into the sorority. They're not saying we need you blonde, but being blonde makes it known that you value these things just like we do. Like,
And
having the Stanley Cup isn't about the Stanley Cup. I didn't look better with fried straight hair, but I was more attractive to job opportunity people and men who want to whatever.
yeah. Well, it's
I was,
also it's
not
one
to
of
me.
those things, like, to the people that want to know that you'll jump through the hoops,
Yep.
you know? Like
It's the unsaid and what is in the unsaid, but also like denying your truth. It is denying the truth. I look better like this, but also not, no, not better. because I will receive negative attention. So I can't be looking better. That's not, whoa, right? And like working hard for it is more important than what it looks like. Right?
Ew.
Ballet. And I realized from that white lady videos, Mormons brought ballet over here.
Really?
Yes. Mormons brought ballet here, and it makes so much sense, and that's why Mormons are in ballroom dancing, and talking about that, I loved hearing that. I could, because as a dance person, I could see how if I were in the Utah area, I would have led into a ballroom dancing lifestyle,
Yeah.
because it's taking something subjective and trying to make it gradable, and you get to meet the opposite sex and there's, it's you're the exception to the rule.
Yeah.
You get to perform as if it's being the billionaire black person.
It's
It's
also
like,
it's the performing kids in cults. Like, that's the
yes.
time when you get to dance. That's the time when you get to, do these moves and blah, 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 and just kind of like
Yeah, you're allowed.
I this is actually interesting because I haven't talked with you that much about it yet, but my book Un-American that I'll work on eventually, like, one of the themes is dancing, and this, like,
Mm,
starts from when I'm young and I'm performing, but, like, I'm allowed to just be myself,
mhm.
and then sort of, like, all throughout. When I was on deployed to Afghanistan, that was when I learned how to salsa dance, and it was very, like, frowned upon socially that I, as
Yeah,
a woman and as an officer, would be going to these things, and I was just like, "I don't ca" literally on both my deployments, I was like, "I do not care, like, I need some place where I'm
because
allowed
it
to
reminded them
be
you were a
myself."
woman.
Yeah.
You're not supposed to choose things that remind other people of your autonomy and your difference from them. So I have on my board I've been talking about this phrase non-practicing whites, which we've discussed like once or twice, right? And as it sat with people, it's not fitting so great, right? And what is the harm in being just white? Right, and thinking about it feels similar to how people whisper black, or it's this removal dismissal, but if you add something, it's the inverse of whispering. It's saying non-practicing white, you look just like me, not saying white, doing, or I'm very, very white, I'm as white as blah, 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 taking it, making the joke. I think we almost skip a step. Okay, you're making jokes out of the trauma. I need you to sit in it first. You're white. Did you know that? What does that mean? Let's sit in that truth before we start cracking jokes, especially around black people, because mostly that's where you're doing it, where you feel safe and like you're interjecting. It's a blue bracelet of the saying white. And what's wrong with just? Olandria, who is a person who was on Love Island, who's dark skinned, beautiful woman who everyone talk about. And like it's doing a lot of things for black women in terms of romance and making us believe in love again. And it happens to be with a white man, which is, we can't plant these things. It's really tough out here. But she is,
Here.
ever since she came out to be on TV and people are talking
Hey.
about her beauty, she has made it a point to
I
say,
do
no,
not
I'm just
like
black.
it when you
I'm
do
not
that.
mixed with anything. I talk about being black. She says, black is beautiful. What do you mean? I'm beautiful because I'm black, not, this
Right.
just.
Something
What if you
else.
are just a human being? What if I am not? I don't have to be, and I made a Patreon video about this. I don't have to be someone's sister, someone's daughter,
Wait,
someone's
you're
mother.
so
I don't have
annoying.
to
You know
be
that?
a
Yeah.
good contributor to whatever. What if I'm
Well,
just a
and I
person?
think we've really been taught by, I mean, white supremacy, obviously, that, like, all of the other races mixed with white, that's the more beautiful, right? Like, that's the more
Right.
palatable.
Which if anything, what you really should be thinking is, oh, white is only beautiful when it's
Exactly.
got other stuff in it. The most beautiful white women usually have ethnic features. That's why you're getting tans and that's why you're filling your lips. And we talk about that, right? Because actual beauty is from the source of humanness. And, when it's almost like the projection, you start to go like, well, actually, you guys are we weren't even talking about you, but now that we think about it, and then you want to be mad and say, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Okay, all right, all right. You guys
Yeah.
keep
Is
demanding and
that why
declaring
there's been
stuff like
such an
that.
industry of what is beautiful for so long?
Right, because if you have to say it, if you have to assert it so often, maybe it's not the natural truth. And maybe that's okay. Not everybody, needs to feel beautiful. Like that's not even a thing I care about.
Yeah.
When I'm home by myself, it doesn't matter. And that's why they don't want that. They don't want you to feel like you are enough as is, and the just, and
Oh,
it made me think of something we talked about last week, and you were saying, and it, I don't know, it just rang with me. You were saying that they would see you as just an angry or bitter ex, if you're out of the military, or you have to kind of like prove you're not just angry and bitter, whatever. And I'm just like, that feels so Black woman coded, because what do you, but also like, okay, if you are an angry and bitter woman,
yeah.
what does
Why?
that mean? Yeah. What happened?
Yeah.
Well, we can't listen to her because
Yeah.
she's just angry and she's just bitter. And that's
Well,
why she's saying
and this
this.
is very much what they did to cult survivors, which is like, we don't listen to cult survivors because they're disgruntled. But like, but why? Why are they disgruntled?
Mhm. Let's talk about it. But it's never, when you let it be a thought terminating cliche and you start defending yourself and saying, no, I'm not just angry. Now we're defending having an emotion. Like, what are you even talking about? I'm upset. So listen. What do you mean? I'm upset. So don't listen? Only people who don't care should be listened to? That doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense, guys. Like, do you become a liar just because you're upset? That's something we need to look at. So when you're mad about something, you'll say anything. There's this inherent other people are manipulating you. Like enslaved
Oh,
people who say, ouch, that hurts, are manipulating you.
and
They don't
it's
feel that pain.
also this white supremacy, patriarchy, British stiff upper lip thing, that is like so,
And you're better than me?
you
You're
know,
better than me because you deny reality?
right. So they have
Okay.
built this into the whole world, right? That the more stoic you are in a crisis, the better, right? But like, so in what I think is a rather extreme version in my case, we're deployed to Afghanistan. There's a bad ambush. We lose 10 people in one day, right? From our
Mhm.
unit. Like that's a big freaking deal. And I am literally
Yeah.
told, "Do not let anyone see that you have been crying." And I just like I remember as a young lieutenant at this point being like, "I don't think that's the right leadership choice." I
And now
don't
that's
think
how you're gonna spend your
pretending
energy.
that this didn't affect me and therefore making all these soldiers who work for me think they have to pretend it didn't affect them. Like, I don't feel like that's the right choice.
That's white supremacy. That's how it stays,
You'll be glad to
because
know I'm
everyone has this, everyone has this side conversation, but Black people aren't aware, so they each think the other person actually feels nothing, because they're not having a wide conversation. Hey, we're all not, so also with the Utah thing, I was watching one of her videos about
sorry.
Utah moms, and they always have this perfect woman that they see at the gym, and they're like, oh, I'm in competition with Jessica, and she's always looking great. She's always, da, da, da. No, she's miserable. You're miserable. Everyone's miserable. Stop. What? And that's the whiteness, the self imposed suffering, well, I'm doing it for them. I'm not feeling my emotions, so that what? So what? So what's the why? Because then they will I'm not sure,
Yeah,
but there's this
and
fear,
I
panic.
argue in Culting Up America that it's because the military is afraid that if your subordinates know that you're human, then they will not obey you in a crisis, right? And it's literally such a weird thing
See,
because,
the in a crisis part is getting me.
and what I was gonna say is when you said that's why supremacy, I was like, "Okay, well, I'm happy to know then that I marched over to my soldiers and said, 'Come on, we're going for a smoke break and we're all gonna cry.'" Because I was like, "No,
See?
I'm not doing this BS,"
Yeah.
Um,
Mhm.
yeah, I just
But and that would make you a better leader, but not a better cult leader.
right, exactly.
And those two things really don't, there shouldn't go one person. I hate it so much, the don't, but also it extends to, I'm going to bring up bathing one more
Sure,
time.
sure.
White women, you aren't bathing because you don't have time to bathe, because I have to do this for my kids. You always talk about when you have not being able to shower and fitting a shower in, and self-care comes last. And what are your kids seeing? That's what love means.
Yeah.
Love means taking care of everybody else, and literally, if you go take a bath, it's taking that's your whole patriarchal concept you have to let go of, because that's why these men aren't showering either, because you're not. It all comes you're raising they don't see any focus on that, any focus on self-care as fundamental, because you are taught to self-sacrifice in that way as love.
Yeah.
And we have to all kind of work on that and not think, self-care is for thee, but not for me. And the good person says, yes, please go rest, but you go, don't rest. Because we know the things to say. That's me talking to me mostly. It's like resting is fundamental, and we have to fight that whole lazy thing. You're just
Yeah.
lazy. Just again, you're tired. You're you're tired, and you don't like how you smell, which makes you hate yourself a little bit more, which, is exhausting. It all comes down to sit, sleep, and shower, and you have to do it first. But, like, I feel like white people just jump so many steps and go into theory and concept and, like, other people, them over there, they're just angry, they're just bitter, and, like, it doesn't matter who they're talking about. But we, Black people, when we say "we" and "them," it's very clear who we're talking about. When we say "we," don't mess with that stuff, we know what we're doing now. When we say "them," we'll just say agents of white supremacy, whatever them. It could, because it's not always only white people, right? It could even include our own, them. But
Yeah.
when white people talk about we and they, it's a little bit more distancing. It's like everybody, people in general. You don't talk for us.
Yeah.
Because we doesn't include us, and then all of a sudden it's we need to work on forgiving racists and moving together, and Black people are really not trying to hear that, y'all. And you can say you're talking to white people, but then talk to white people.
My sim was like, "Ba da da." Yeah, and sorry, my kid's home from school today. um, yeah, I think I've seen a lot of this language and a lot of this like, well, how are we going to get past and how are we going to move forward and reintegrate people? And I'm like, but we haven't, like, we're still in the middle of it. Like, there's still
Yeah,
there's still races, like there's still
who's we? Right? And that's when I learned this one from white people. Do you have a mouse in your pocket? People said that in my comments quite a few times, and I was like, I don't know what they are talking about. And
I just saw that in my
because the Black
comments
people version,
today.
yeah, the Black person version is, "Oh, you speak French now?" Because that's in a song.
Oh,
Oh, and say
that's we.
"we," and it's like we, and eventually I found out. I asked, "What's this mouse in your pocket business?" And they were like, "'Cause you must have somebody with you." And it's like, okay, all right. But yeah, who are you talking about? Because, and that's why my third weight has two T's, and it's who am I talking to? Because you're not being specific. You're just jumping to non-practicing. If they're talking about non-practicing white, who are you talking to?
Yeah.
Not me.
So this
Don't
is
tell me you're
interesting
non-practicing.
because now I'm thinking about like, okay, so when do I use we? And I'm like, I think when I use it, I'm either talking about veterans or like cult babies. Like I think there's like a more defined group in my
Yeah,
head.
you're
But
speaking
I mean, I'm
specifically.
definitely guilty of saying we and being kind of like all Americans or all people. But I do like there's a difference to me when I say we and I mean like a specific group. And it's like, well,
Right. And me
if you're in
too.
this group, if you're a cult baby, you're a veteran, like, when I say we, like, this is what I'm talking about.
Yeah, we who have had this experience. And so, and it comes in context. It's not necessarily subtext and underneath, but a lot of times white people, like, they'll do this, and if they want to do a critique of someone, they'll say it's usually, that's when they bring out the we, and they don't want to speak directly, because speaking directly is inappropriate. So, like, we need to work on our blah blah blahs, and no one in particular. And then, because I saw that in a dance judging thing for dance competitions, which is another white people way of taking something fun and making it terrible. And, the lady's recording her judgment while watching, and she said, "We wanna lift our leg a little bit longer, we wanna da da da." But then when she's giving a compliment, it's, "Oh, that's so beautiful." It's kind of a little bit more direct, but any critique is a "we." It just feels so, maybe you shouldn't be doing it.
Yeah.
Maybe this isn't a good thing. Maybe stop talking. If you're not gonna be able to say to this person, and I've heard from Black women, if it's not directed, it's not respected. If you're not gonna be able to say that, then maybe you shouldn't say it. Maybe judging on the spot while they're dancing is, wait, we've lost the plot, because that sounds terrible. And now after you perform for everybody, now let me hear the I can't
They
believe you
hear
guys
all
are
the
doing this to
bad
your old white
stuff.
girls. Holy moly.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true.
It's like
Like,
the
all
opposite of a
the
participation trophy
it's,
somehow.
like,
I don't
not
know exactly how, but
well, I mean, this goes to, I think, a larger thing that, like, dance for the sake of dance has largely gone out of white cultures.
yeah.
And that has a lot to do with Protestantism and religion and Puritans and all of that stuff, but, like,
Yep.
it
But
is
that's what made the Mormon thing interesting is because they're using it for PR. Because then it's show business. We allow this in this space because it gets you out there. And hearing that the Mormons initially tried to kind of run away west and then realized, oh, we can't just keep running from the rules. Now we have to actually infiltrate the rules, and then turned around and said, all right, so now we have to make it more tolerable for us to stay here, and we'll just push our ideas through the system and be in the world, but not
of the
of the
world.
world. Sorry. I don't know what zombie, creepy man. Of
Well, and by the way,
course you don't have
this brings
relationships.
us right back to the rapture thing, right? Which is count a thing. I feel like there's a lot of this rapture stuff, which is kind of like group religious suicidal ideation. And it's like anytime they're
End
forced to
times.
deal with the fact that this white world that they have created is not actually great, it's just like Jesus gonna come back, right? Like, and I see it on the left too, with all these white ladies
Your
screaming about
dad,
revolution, you know?
wait till your dad comes home. That's what it sounds like. You're going to get in so much trouble. Everybody, don't talk to me like this. Don't tell me things are bad. Just wait till your dad comes home. He's going to be home any minute. I don't know. Is that kind of like the Jesus vibe?
I mean,
He going
in
to be
in
mad?
some ways, yes. I was laughing because actually my husband called me out on this when our kid was born, and he was like, "Why do I gotta be the Punisher guy? Like, why do I gotta be the wait till?" And it's like I don't
Mhm.
think like people realize that they're always putting the dads in this position.
Yeah, I think that's a very,
Yeah,
something
I
white
mean,
women should think about.
there's a couple things about like white American rapture mania. And one of the things I've always said, it's like they're excited not because they actually want to go live in the sky with Jesus. They want to be
Right, right.
right and they want to see everyone else get punished. Right? Like they want that
Yes.
moment of flying up in the sky and being like, "See, we were
Yeah.
right. Now all the
The
rest of them are going to
gotcha.
burn in hell."
That's a terrible goal. I want everyone to know that's weird. Okay. And that's why I've been also thinking about it as right supremacy, because you just want to be right. You don't care how terrible you are. And it's like gambling on godly goodness and just godly, whatever that you
And
decided that old white man said.
as soon as you said that, like, you just gotta be right, right? It's like, this is the cult thing, but it's also
Hmm.
like, as soon as you say there's only one way of life, then you gotta fight about having the right way, instead of just being like, "All there are different ways." This is why one of my, like, vaccines, like, cult vaccines I give people is just there are many valid ways to live a life.
Yeah, that's it. Calm down. Most of my stuff is like, guys, it's fine.
And this is
Just
even,
be
like,
today.
I feel like this is something that as cult babies we have to learn. Like, when you figure something out and it changes your life, like, we just gotta tell everybody. And, like, right now I've been using a hand steamer on my curls in the morning, and it just makes them so perfect. And, like, I just wanna
Nice.
tell oh my god, if you don't have one, like, because you can do hand steam all your crochet and knitting with it. Like that's what I have it for. And then someone
Ah,
mentioned doing the curls, and I mean, obviously we have different hair, but for me, it just like poof, like because I wake
yeah,
up with
I
them
can
all
see that.
smushed from sleeping, and so I almost never have them down unless I've just set them and done them, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, there's this cool. And
No, that's a good
anyway,
idea. Cause
this is one
yeah.
of those things that I used to notice with myself where it was like I found a new thing and then I would just like have to tell everyone about it. And one day I realized like I just I don't have to do that. Like if it comes up naturally in conversation, that's cool. But like just because I found something and it is amazing for me, like I don't I don't actually have to go evangelize it to the whole world. Like, that is
No, you
labor, that's a
but
choice. It's
see,
not bad.
they
I'm
used
just saying
they
that, like,
used the
the
valuable thing and used it for bad. I think that's just something we battle with also as, like, autistic people with special interests, and, like, you can connect it to everything. It's really hard to stop. Do you know how hard it is to have a special interest of white women and how they specifically are powerful in in dismantling the terrible systems around us, but they just won't get out of their own way? Do you know how hard it is to not tell white women that all the time? It's very, and that's why I stay inside. So listen, I'm not saying I have the solution. I don't have solutions. I have answers which are, yeah, join the awareness
Yeah,
land. I don't know, but I need you aware first. That, like, aware that there are many ways. Because if your parents were the ones telling you that, my parents didn't tell me that. There's only one way, right? I got the vibe from society. I grew into the cult a bit, and that's why it was probably easier for me to get out. And because I still had the vibe of like, no, we don't believe in any of this stuff. We just, this is the world we are around. And yeah, these people are Christian and that's weird. And where my mom grew up going to yeshiva, but being the rebel who took off her jacket. And like, that's the story I knew about her. And with my dad just, being Jamaican and that. And there's all this stuff where it's just like, who
yeah.
knows? And so I imagine that's hard for people. But I had to go through the whole like, corporate America is just a cult. It's just like the military of business,
Well, yeah,
of
and
the
it's all
economy.
just trying to boil you down to being replaceable, and
Yep,
this is one of the
yep.
things you realize in the army, after a couple of years, you're like, every single job is made to be immediately replaceable by someone else with the same training and the same rank. Right? So
Yeah.
they honestly have to, so like when I came into the army, I spoke 3 languages. I was like, y'all should be snatching me up right now to use for some special skill. But they're like every call, it's like, nope, your lieutenant is a lieutenant. You got to go sacrifice, you got to go pay your dues.
Pay your dues.
But it's also because, like, you
Red flag.
can't actually have a role that rests on someone's individuality, because then what if that person is gone? And
No, the
then
system
you
has to
can't
be in
fill that
charge.
anymore, right? So the more
Yep,
you
yep.
systematize, but and it's interesting because this is also true that bureaucracy is the opposite of charismatic leadership. Right? And so it's like the more you systematize, the less individual you make it. Also, it's
Yeah,
harder for one person to kind of like grab it and steer. So we assume
yeah.
that it's safer.
And we
But
complexify for
the
those reasons.
and part
Yeah,
of the
yeah.
price of that is boiling yourself down to, like, they call batch experiences. So you can't be an individual. You have to fit
Experiences?
in these molds. So, like,
Interesting.
batch living is like if you're in a military barracks and, like, you wake up at 4, you all go work out, you eat breakfast at 10, lunch is at, oh, whatever hours, dinner's at this, lights out is at 9 o'clock. So, like, when you're with a bunch of other adults and you're living on a schedule, basically, that's batch living.
Yeah.
In
Ooh.
in most total
It's like,
institutions,
and
that's
so
what you
batch
have.
experiences. So now it's like you can't speak to anything in particular and you are deniable because you're just going through what everybody else is going through. Like there's this, and then they also have you go through horrible
And
experiences so that you can
right,
deny
and then
other
it's
people's horrible
bonding
experiences.
to all of those
Yeah.
people who have been through that batch experience, but no one else can understand it, right? So it becomes this, like, thing, now you're this more insular group, and even if new people come up, like right now, like, with the army, right? Like, in the army, I
Yeah.
guarantee you between the folks who deployed to Iraq and Afghanistan and the folks that didn't, there's an attitude, right? Of like,
Yeah.
you just don't get it.
Oh, and that's never good. What white people with the I've been also working on like capital I's, like capital I's, but like capital I's. They just very have like this I went. You don't understand what I went through. And like there's a very like you have no idea. They say that all the time, white people. You have no idea. And they mean it seriously. And I think that's weird. Lowercase I. But anyway, but like white people love capitalizing stuff and yelling stuff
That
and being
is
like, you don't understand. What do you mean?
so it's very true first of all, because I've personally been told, I was once told by a straight white Christian conservative man that there was no market for my stories because nobody could relate to them, because like nobody can understand growing up in a sex cult or being a woman at war. But also, that was something that I had to pull out of my writing very hard was this, "Oh, you couldn't understand," or, "Oh, you could never," and it's like, "No. You need to get better at telling the story, and you need to trust the reader," right? Because if you describe a human experience and you describe your human emotions, other people can understand. And that's even like that's a recruiting tactic for cults, right? They'll be like, "Oh, most people
Yes,
wouldn't get this. Like most people wouldn't understand. Your friends and family won't get it." I always tell my audience, right? I'm like, "Right there, I want you to stop them and be like, "What are you saying about my friends and family?
right. That
Why
that
why
right
wouldn't they
there
get it?"
is the boundary. The thing, the trigger you should hear is they won't get it. You don't even know them. There's the they.
And
The ominous theoretical
I
they is
honestly,
usually real people.
let me tell you, like the more and more I think about it, the more and more I think like I may be one of the first people that actually wrote a military book for them instead of for
Mm.
us, right? Because
Mhm.
male veterans, there's 12 million of them, right? So if they, and this has been true ever since the modern wars, if they want to write a book about being a veteran, about like a military experience, they do it as true to the experience as they can. And other veterans are going to relate to that. And if you pick it up as a civilian, great, you're getting this outside experience, right? But for
Yeah.
me, there's not enough, right? There's only a million women veterans. Like there
So, like, you're just getting agreement. It's writing to the people. Like,
right, right.
what is
But
the
that's what I'm
point of
saying.
the
And that's what
writing?
I'm
Yeah.
saying is that I think like because I had to translate my experience for the outside world, that actually allowed me to write a military experience in a way that an outsider can kind of like participate in it.
Right. But yeah, and people can always, right? Black people are proof. Y'all haven't represented us ever. And we read, and what are the lessons we choose to get out of them are include the context that y'all don't let us write books. Right. So, but white people don't have that context. White people have this is what good books are because it's in front of you and whatever. There's not enough zooming out to realize you don't need relatable. We're all humans. Sometimes I don't want to hear a story that relates to mine. Literally, white lady books. I want to hear a white lady book, but they tell you no one cares about that because, but who are they?
Right.
That's then when I need y'all to sit with who is they? That guy? Yeah, you're not writing it for him, especially anyone who thinks like him. Are you trying to convince a man that your story is worthy? Well, that's why I don't like the industry. The
Right.
system will always replace it with another person who's going to make you feel like you need to beg for your story to be told. Like, you think about how white women sometimes think about my content and how they feel like they're doing me a big favor by saying, I've followed you for a while, but this, blah, blah, blah. That's not
This
the
one's
person who's
too
buying
much.
anything. You know what I mean? That person isn't buying anything if I'm caring about selling, but that's also not the person I want to talk to. Who am I talking to? And I'm aware of that. I'm very particular. I talk to white women, but it's one for black women, but also for white women and for myself because I need to understand what is going on with y'all and y'all aren't talking about it until maybe I bring something up and then you say something. So a black woman also asked me, so I just want to, she said genuine question to me and I was like, uh-oh, but it was a black woman. And then she had an actual genuine question and it made so much sense that she said that. And I was like, this is us. Anyway, just starting off so strong. She said, do white women have a phrase like if it don't apply, let it fly? Right. And she said, I think it would help them, she was genuinely asking, like, do they, asking me. And I was like, this is amazing. I love this. Um, and I said, no, one, they've heard this recently and they just take that. And secondly, there's a phrase they don't have, which is, if you like it, I love it. And now this can mean quite a few things in the black community, but that if you like it, I love it means do you do you. I'm gonna be over here rooting for you. I'm team you, whatever you want to do. Sometimes it means I would never. I would never do that ever. Sometimes it means he cute for you. It could mean a lot of stuff. But there's a basis, an underlying love happening. And white people said, "Well, we do have whatever floats your boat." And then a couple of people said that. And I thought, okay. And someone said, whatever floats your boat. I don't know who invented that one, but whatever. And I said, you don't know
And
who
it was a
invented
white man.
whatever floats your boat? That's a white peopleism, okay? That is, listen to it. Whatever floats your boat, it gets weird, okay? Or I would never yuck your yum. I've heard that one too. At a certain
I
point, I
just
think
hate
we need
that
to start
one.
yucking. Because I used to love that one for like, oh, lunches and like people bring different types of lunches to school. But now that I know what some of y'all are eating, and what you're not washing, what you're touching and stuff, I'm gonna yucca. I'm a yucca yum, you know? And that's not the same as, or mind. It's just like white people have mind your business slogans that like, I don't care, whatever
But
floats your boat,
it goes back
hands off.
it goes back to this thing of like, I don't think white people have the concept that it's okay to be different from the
Right.
rest of the group, right? So
The
that goes back to the
underlying, the
evangelizing
unsaid
thing. If you
message.
find something that works for you, you have to tell everyone about it and you have to convince them it's correct and you have to,
Hmm.
get them on it
That part.
too. Because if you're the only one doing it, you're not safe or it's
Like,
not
it's
valid
all of
somehow.
that.
It's not valid. You don't validly like it until someone else comes back and is like, yeah, I tried the curl thing and it's amazing, And it's like,
Right.
instead of just
But
being like, "This is amazing, it works for me, I do it every morning now."
yeah. That just like this is a thing I've been obsessed with and you're just sharing, right? You're not necessarily evangelizing to the point where you're like, if they don't do it, that's a failure on your part.
Right.
What it
Or
no,
it's
because they
or
probably
it's
look at
somehow
you're
not
just
valid for you to keep doing it, it's like that
right.
too.
Yeah, no one ever like who said
There's
all of
just
that?
a
All
there's
of
just
this
and again, this goes back to all the things, but, like, witch trials, right? For white people, I think this always comes back to witch trials, and it's so important to understand the, like, history of witch burnings in Europe, right? Like, white people burning hundreds of thousands of women who were slightly different for any reason, right? And then in America, much fewer, but still that very significant history of witch trials. And it's like that rocked white culture, right? To the point
yeah.
that from the six,
A lot of them weren't white though.
yeah. I mean, I just think that
Like
like,
the people burned. But yeah,
yeah,
they
yeah,
love
yeah.
that.
And I just think that from the 1600s to basically now, right? It has been seen as no, it's too dangerous to be a woman who stands out in any way, right? So whether that's
Mm.
by not having kids, whether that's by making too much money, whether that's by being too vocal, whether that's just by doing your own thing, it's dangerous.
Hmm.
And that is, I think, like deeply in the DNA of being, I don't know if it's American woman or white woman, you know.
White, for sure.
Yeah.
I
That's
mean, because if it's not witch, it's you're gonna be a bitch, and usually that's a black person, right? It starts with us. It starts with black women being loud
and this is what
and
has
all
always
that.
it was something that I really kind of struggled to describe was that my relationship with white Christian Americans tended to be, but Daniela, why you gotta be so different on purpose? It like the amount of white people that asked me why I was teaching my child other languages, And just like it is this if you
Well,
wanted,
yeah.
you could have the keys to the kingdom, right? Like Rebecca, you can't ever really pass yourself off as the perfect skinny white woman, but
Yeah, no.
I
Right.
can. So
You're making
how
the
dare
choice
I
to. Yep.
not?
Not to, rather.
That has always been the
Mhm.
kind of thing. It was like people in the army, they would basically beg me to tell them I was Jewish or some kind of other religion, right? Like they'd be like, you're not a Christian?" I'd be like, "No." I'd be like, Are you Jewish?" "No." "Oh, so are you like?" "No, no, I'm just not religious. Thanks." And it's like
Why do you need to have one?
I really couldn't. It's like I couldn't answer the question until I got the, like, really the white supremacy piece and the blonde piece and the, like, ideal of this, like, image that I was subconsciously trying to achieve, right? And, like, in that image, you're not supposed to be different, right? Perfect Barbie doesn't speak Spanish and Portuguese, right? She's all American. And so the funny part for me is like the whole time
All
I
American.
was on this hamster wheel, I still hated the idea of being bland and not standing out. So I was still always kind of like doing it wrong.
All of us, because there's no way to be a not human human.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, there's no one's winning at this. Sorry, I'm gonna turn my do not disturb on. Uh, there's no one's winning at this game. They're all pretending.
Yeah.
Even the ones that aren't necessarily pretending as hard or it's easier for them, I guess, or, they're rewarded more often, whatever, they're in a different place, you know, what are you aiming for? Skinnier with just paler, lighter, younger. What? Like, what's happening? And zooming out to see who said, was it Simon? This is the unknown Simon says, what's Simon about? What are his incentives here?
I don't know, but I think he's a white man.
Yeah, sounds about right. White, And what does he know? He's never done a
I
thing.
made this beige top really fun.
What am I looking at? Okay, like a crop. All right, I
It's
like
like a
that.
little crappie, and I put some matching. So wait, this is the whole outfit.
Very cute.
All right. So this collar that I made from an Indian shirt, and then these two cuffs that I just made, which was out
My
of this was
gosh.
out of one sleeve off of like an Indian shalwar kameez, like big shirt,
Wow.
and I made cuffs.
So what goes on the bottom? Have you decided yet?
No,
Paint just regular.
just
I feel oh
sweatpants.
my goodness. Yeah.
I've got some dark blue sweatpants. Like that's probably what it's gonna
It's
be,
one of those
honestly.
where it's just all up on the top. Just curious, just
My,
curious.
my outfits are very top heavy, but no, I'm actually gonna take this, completely beige bra now and just completely, like, dress it up with color.
I love
That
that.
seems good for what we're talking about.
Yeah, I mean, the choice to put color in also, okay, so like you were saying, people expect if you have the ability to get that proximity, to get that good job, to for me, because
Right.
within Black culture, same thing, to make it out and to do all this stuff, all you gotta do is give up all of your
Who
fun
you are.
and personality and the things you like and care about, and then you get everything you want. And if you choose not to, just like when I choose to say I'm Black instead of biracial, there is a discomfort with people of like, why would you choose
Mhm.
not to lean into this thing that gives you more power? Power where? To do what?
Yeah,
Attractive to who? Not the type of people that mean well for me if I do this, if I wear this thing, or if I dress more like this or wear my hair straight. It is more attractive
and but to
to
who?
that,
And
to that danger.
this was such a realization for me, and this is really the I think the point of the whole book when I write it. It's like, yeah, yes, I looked like Barbie, right? Literally. And who married me? A white supremacist, right? Like,
Yeah,
more attractive to who? And that's what was
right.
like when and by the way, folks, if you haven't listened to our 3rd episode, Whoops, I Married a White Supremacist, go check that one out. This has been a long journey. But I when I when I found out that he was being kicked out of the army for white supremacy, right? And then I had to testify. And then gosh, it was like I felt like it was like 2 weeks where I was just walking around in a daze, like, I wanna pull my face off. Like,
Mm,
it was that, right? It was attractive to whom, right?
yeah,
Like,
it's like you did this. You set
now,
yourself up for this
honestly, when
almost a
people
little.
tell me, "Oh, you're so pretty," like, every time it creeps me out because
Mm,
I understand that I fit the idealized, stupid, you know, the one they picked to be like,
yeah,
this is pretty."
the picked flower.
A
Wonderful.
picked
Slowly
flower. Yeah,
dying,
exactly.
you know?
And you know what? Like, that's how I felt, right? When I was in this relationship with this guy who, like, didn't even like for me to tell people that I spoke Spanish, right? Because then it'll just become a conversation about why you speak Spanish, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, I like to speak Spanish. I like to speak Portuguese. I like to participate in those cultures because they're mine and also because they're awesome. And it was like there was this bargain of like, you can, like, which life do you want? Right?
Right.
Do you wanna be
Right.
the weird white girl who's always having to explain, or do you just wanna be Erica Kirk?
Right. And there's somewhere in the middle where you get to decide when and how you talk about whatever you want by only going to places where you speak when you want, like, you know what I mean? If you want to explain, then you can explain. If
Right.
you want to speak Spanish, you can speak Spanish. I think the language limitation is so purposeful. So many people who don't speak Spanish because their parents didn't teach them Spanish in order to help them in their mind. And dealing with that and not being able to, I can't even imagine the heartbreak in some ways because I think being able to speak multiple languages I don't. I mean, I speak white and black and TikTok. And I realized that. And I was like, actually, it's really hard because I make videos and I'm like, if you guys knew how funny I am right now, but you don't speak black TikTok, you speak TikTok, I speak black and white, and I'm talking about whiteness with a black TikTok. It's a whole thing you guys don't even know. But that's my struggle to deal with. I've been dealing with it in my own life. But it's like,
I was telling my child
languages are
today
cool.
when we were walking, I was telling my kid today about the "Does my dog know he's black" Twitter trend from a long time ago. It was so
Yeah.
great. It was like,
I
if you could be a
had
white
just
person and just sit there
yeah.
quietly and read them, you could learn so much about Black culture. It was great,
Oh my
and it was
god.
funny.
Right, and we don't even know because it's just life, right? It's just living. To us, that's American culture. You guys have yours. Boo. We heard about it. It's not great. We give middle names to the dogs. We give them we respect them like humans in a way, like where you guys respect them as your pets and belonging, like this weird dress them up thing. We dress them up for occasions if they need to, whatever. But I just made a video where I had to acknowledge, like, there's a black sound going on, and look, if white women don't get it, whoop-de-doo, which whoop-de-doo is a very popular black sound right now. And so I use it, and then I say, Fran's black, we don't kiss on the mouth, and that's the end of the video. And white people either, you're gonna get it, you're not gonna get it, that's okay. We're all just in it together. Like, if you like it, I love it. I need you guys to have that energy with me sometimes, not like, I don't understand. Can
Right.
you explain why this is funny? No,
And
just this is one of those that just not for you, I guess. I don't know.
also, I like it, you love it. Like, we need a white version of that of, like, I don't have to participate. Like, I can sit here and enjoy that you're having fun with it.
Yes, and that is its own fun of, like, I can't wait till you come back, and I talk about double dutch in that way, whereas, like, Monopoly versus double dutch, right? Watching a family play Monopoly sounds terrible. Playing Monopoly as a family sounds terrible. Winning Monopoly just means you've ruined everybody else's life on the board. Okay, great. Everyone's there. Got it. They're mandatory. Double dutch, watching double dutch is fun. Watching people get it and, "Oh, hey, what are they gonna do?" That's fun. Being a turner is fun. That is a skill, being able waiting your turn. The whole thing. No one's winning, no one's losing. Everyone at the end ends up tripping up. You're not embarrassed when you don't some people start in the middle, some
Yeah.
people go in. It's a whole all ages.
Well, that's even
And,
true about
you know
dance for non-white cultures, It's just like
Yep,
you're dancing, and, like, everyone
yes,
knows who the best dancer in, like, the community is or the neighborhood or whatever, but it's not because there's been some kind of, like, formal contest and you have been awarded a dancing.
right.
One of my favorite videos to this day is just starts off with, "Did you know that white people in America and Britain send their kids to school to learn to dance?" And then it just cuts to images of children just all over the world dancing on the
Like this
streets, just dancing, like really good dancing for young children on the
right.
streets. And
It's
it's
just
just
so
like
fundamental.
it like when I okay, so you'll understand this completely. Like when I went to college and I went to parties, my only thing was like white people are so boring. When I got introduced to college, I was dating a Hispanic guy who was in the Latino fraternity. So, like, still, all
Mm,
the parties I went to had salsa dancing, and then all of a sudden, I started going to white people parties, and I was like, "There's no there's no event. It's just a bunch of people in an apartment drinking until the
trashing it,
cops
by the
come."
way.
You know? Like, there's no I was like, "What
Until the cops come is
what?"
crazy and accurate. Oh my god, you're right. The cops oh my god,
And I was just
so
like,
different.
to the point that when in college, I get introduced to the chess team. My college had the best chess team in the world. And it was a group of like international, still mostly white, but international people. And the most of the events included like a game, a tournament, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, well, at least it's something, right? Like it's not
It's
my
something.
flavor. I want to dance, but at least there's some event to this. I just don't understand the
Alcohol.
white people get together where the only event is alcohol. Like, to me, it's
It's
boring.
just it's like and it's not tasting alcohol, it's not it's binging. You have nothing, and then they call it raging. Can y'all their fun is rage.
Throwing a
We're gonna
rager.
rage. Everything fun they do, they talk about crushing it, killing it. We're gonna destroy them. We're gonna own them. White people, stop. You don't know how to have fun. Their fun is like a fun house mirror thing where they make everyone think they don't know what they look like. It's like it's just at the more I talk myself into these frenzies where I'm like, oh my god, they're so. And how could I not? You know, I don't feel like I'm evangelizing, but I guess maybe I'm just like white women. It is a little bit. Where I'm like, "You don't deserve this. You could live a better life." But I'm not gonna promise it to you. I'm just saying, did you know you could live a better life? There are options out here that aren't given to you from an old man's hands. Gross. Like, you guys let these men feed you cracker
And this
okay,
is
sorry. I just
but I have to say this is part of it, right? Like, this is part of what I've experienced with, like, American white culture. Is just like, "Did you know you could?" Like, did anyone ever
yeah,
tell you? You could just walk into the restaurant with the huge Jamaican flag on it. You don't have to be invited by a Jamaican person. You could just go experience it. Like, I used to do this in college where I would invite like all my white girl friends over and be like, "We are going salsa dancing. You will come over in your like lowest pair of high heels and a spinny skirt, and I'm going to teach you 2 steps and a spin, and then we're gonna go dance." And, like, you
that's
can
so
just participate in
interesting.
this. You don't have to be good. You don't have to
Have a bodyguard with you either,
and
because it feels like that's what they're as like, they're in Lovecraft Country, there's a scene I love Lovecraft Country as a series, but, can only get 1 season, but in it, there's they're talking about going down to the south side of Chicago and the white women. They think they're talking to another white woman, but she's a black woman, they can't tell, she's a white woman, and they go, "Oh, maybe we could get this other employee, the one black girl, to take us down to the south side," and the black woman who's white in that scene is like, "There ain't nothing special about the South Side." And they're like, "You've been? You've been down there?" But the whole concept of maybe she can take us down and like we need and that they could only go if they go with this girl
right.
they work with. You're white. You can go
You can go
anywhere. Literally,
anywhere
that's
in
your whole
this
thing.
country.
But then all of a sudden you're a victim of your own that's you doing
And
that. You putting
it's
the mask over your
also
face.
the idea that standing out will be a negative. And I think that
Yeah.
comes back to the whiteness, right? So, like,
Yeah. Yeah.
I it's just a joke in my life that every time I
Mm.
move, which is just now have I lived somewhere for 5 years for the first time, right? So every time I move, I have to go set up my kitchen again. So I have to go find an international store and buy all of the ingredients. And
Mhm.
obviously, people are looking at me the whole time because I'm a white lady, usually in a store run by Indians. And when I get to the checkout, it's always a conversation, right? As they're checking me out
Mhm.
$200 of ingredients from all over the world. And it's like, "Where are you from?" And then we have a conversation about it, and it's
Yeah.
nice, and we smile and laugh, and it's an enjoyable experience. And at worst, it's like, "Oh, I have to tell this story again," right? Nobody points at me, nobody laughs, nobody's like, "What are you doing here, little white girl?" Like, there's this idea that you're gonna end up in the wrong neighborhood and all of a sudden it's like the prison yard and you're not hanging out with your people and, like, what are you doing? And I've
Yeah.
been the, like,
What universe is
introductory white
this?
girlfriend that, like, takes people to things, I don't know,
Yeah.
we were just at, there's a Korean, like, hot pot place that just opened near our house, and my husband was 19 and 20 in Korea, so he's obsessed, and it's always just Korean people, some black people, and then a few white people that you can tell were military. But
Yeah.
this time, it was busy, it was a Friday night, and there was a couple tables that were, like, a bunch of young Asian college kids with their white people friends that you could tell they had brought in, and I was like, "This is so like, this makes my heart happy that they're, like, at 19 years old, they're having this experience where they're being introduced to this completely wonderful food of another culture that they might not encounter otherwise, and they're being
Right.
introduced as teenagers."
Right, and not looking at it as like, even if you watch old housewives stuff, when they go travel and they go places and you can see, especially in like the OC, we have like gated community women, they, everything's disgusting. They can't, different is scary. It's wrong. It's like something to fear. It's rotten, nasty. Oh my God, what are they doing to me? It's fine. And being the minority is only a danger when the majority is dangerous.
Right.
Like, being a minority in itself is fine.
But that's the
My mom's the only white lady in her MS support group at this black church. I didn't even know, she just is, and they just love her. And, like, she has no business being in this black Christian support group, but it's MS related, and she's got MS, and she likes them, and one of her best friends is in there. It's the cutest little thing. But this is the lady who raised me, so that's why I'm like, my bar is high for white women. And so when y'all come in just like, "I don't know if I believe you about this thing." Excuse me. Excuse
yeah.
me, that's not how my mom would react. Be like my mom. And but she's not the white that I learned you guys are, the religious, the white supremacy type of white.
Yeah, the type of person that thinks that if you're the only one in the room of your demographic, that you're in danger,
Right.
right?
She's like, "Oh,
That
it's so much better than the other group." She runs a couple MS support groups, and she knows, she's like, "Oh, it's different." But I love, and she would bring the matzo brickle, they would have a seat for her. I jumped on there to talk to them with her. I was just like, she never, if anything, she gets nervous when there's only white people. And it's always, and has
same.
always, she dated a white guy and she was like, "I will never marry." I'm like, "Man." I'm like, "Ma, you don't gotta," but it's just like, she's just like, "I'm uncomfortable. I don't know who they're gonna," and that can be the truth too. And I would
Well,
rather that than the things I'm hearing from other
'cause
white women about believe everybody.
there's an interesting part about being a white person who's visibly not playing the white supremacy game, I should say,
Mm,
right? So it's like non-practicing white person is not the right language, but, like,
right. It shouldn't be in the
when
language.
I meet Latinos and Latinas, I always say I have to present my credentials at the door, right? Like, I have to have the conversation about how I grew up in Brazil and Mexico, and I speak the languages, and I eat the foods, and then I do the dances, and then I get accepted, right?
Mhm.
But when I had a child who just spoke fluent Spanish and Portuguese, like, that step was skipped, right? So
Yeah.
it's like,
Yeah, I don't even know if you needed to do, I feel like you could have,
I
and
don't need to
maybe they would
anymore,
ask and be
and that's the
curious.
visible part, right? Yeah. I don't need
Yeah,
to
because
as much anymore.
you could just eat and dance and do, and it would be obvious that it is natural to you. They won't necessarily know the way, but you don't know
Right.
how
Just like
they are
when
either,
I
you
walk
know?
into a salsa club, I do not have to make an announcement that I'm not that kind of white lady. I just dance, and
Right.
then people are like,
You
come over and ask you to dance, you know? Again, going back to the dance was freedom, and that is I even think that's a big part of as we've talked about, it's like the way that I present myself. It's like, well, I don't feel comfortable when only white people are around and I live in an area that's not mostly populated with white people. They probably don't feel comfortable around me, and there are things you can do to visually show that you're not playing the white supremacy game, but it's not a blue
Yep.
bracelet.
It's not a blue erase, it's nothing that you can pop on and off, honestly. It's more of a mindset that in the choices you make. My
Blue
mom always
bracelet.
had this white patch right here, and that's how it started to grow in, and she just liked it. She thought it was different, and then she became known as, that lady with the white patch, but also probably with the brown kids. But, like, I didn't she always just people just knew who my mom was. She wasn't like everybody else's white mom. They're like, "Oh, that's" people still know her. And, I don't think it has to be, "I'm doing this so that I'm seen as a safe," because
Yeah.
that's weird. If it's like, "I'm a nice guy, I want people to know I'm a nice guy." It's like, it'll happen naturally. You just will value yourself more than the projected image they want you to aspire to. Because anything when you accept something of yourself that other people don't have, that's when it'll show. When you say, "My hair isn't blonde, but I'm gonna like, it's the bar is so low. Allowing my hair to grow out of my head the way it does is a
Yeah.
huge indicator to a lot of Black people, I think. Probably. I don't know, that's not why I did it. But I think it does indicate to Black people, "Oh, she Black and okay with it, and been Black, because look how long and healthy my hair is, and, that's not new, that's a way of life." And that's all just inherent. That's just in the
Yeah.
communication of accepting myself, and then it goes outward. My mom accepted she had gray hair. She didn't try to pretend she was younger and not getting gray hair. She did, tend to it and darken all the other parts so that it stood out a little bit more sometimes. But, like, that was
Yeah.
just it's we could have more fun enhancing things, and that will do it than buying things or
Well,
stating
and this was
things,
like,
joking.
this is what I tell now. I tell like white women about cultural appropriation and like versus like inspiration and adapting things. Again, my friend brought me all this like bags of Indian cloth, like because her family literally has a textile business, and she was bringing me scraps to use for my tassel earrings that I make and all of
Amazing.
these things, right? And I'm like, wanted to cut up this shirt and make something, and I tell them, like, I have a very long, complicated history with India that I can tell you about for fun if you're interested in knowing. And I was a 12-year-old girl inside as I was opening up this bag, right?
Mm, mhm, mhm.
But and so I'm like, no, right? Like, know why you're putting these cultural influences from a different culture into the thing you're making or the outfit you're putting together. And then do it like a white girl. I'm not trying to do it like an Indian girl. I'm doing it my way. And like nobody's
Yes.
ever been upset at me. At this point, I use influences from every culture I can find in the stuff that I make. I mean, I
Why would
work
we
with
also be upset
scarves.
with
Why
you?
would I not? That's a thing you can find all over the world?
And Black people, Indian people, ain't nobody got time to sit and be upset about how Daniella is using anything, to be honest. We have entire lives
But
and
that's the
communities
but
and violence.
that's the thing, and it's such I mean, this has to be a white girl thing, but they're like, "Oh, we're fancy today," or they're like, "Oh, what's the occasion?" or "Why are you dressed like
Oh,
that?" Instead of and someone I follow on Threads was saying like, "Hey, white ladies, do you know that you can give a Black woman a compliment without, like, belittling yourself, saying you wanna be her, or somehow acting like you wanna wear her skin?" And it just made me think of you.
my goodness, I just saved a video of these I think they're African women, but they were like representing how white women compliment them. "Oh, you are a goddess, you are this, and that, and you are oh my goodness, I just wanna just be you, I just wanna where did you get that?" Anyway, I've been really traumatized in the last couple of years. My husband really put me down, and I've just really been trying to feel like the way you've and just going into this trauma stuff, and then the Black woman has to go, "Oh, yeah, that's really tough on self-esteem, yeah." Listen, we need journals, but not it doesn't have to be, "Hey, journal, here's a narrative about my day." It can just be like, "What's going on? Look at my board is" I say my board is a journal. I have a little like sketchbook that I use as a journal and an actual notebook that's by my desk because I mean my bed because it's a little smaller. But these are good. The feelings, have them.
Yeah.
Don't throw them. I don't know what to do with it. I that compliment shouldn't come with baggage. Or, it's like when
More
women
time.
say, "Oh, when a man compliments me," but when a woman compliments me, right? Black women feel the same way,
Yeah.
but you're not, you're the man category. And you get real close and emotional and like, yeah.
And the interesting thing about that is I think then, then it's like the white woman instinct to be like, "Okay, so then how should we compliment you?" And it's like, "Well, just stop, listen, learn. Just don't
Be
for
a
now.
normal
Just don't." You
person.
know?
And if you need a format, then stop. Because if it's cut and paste, if I can just tell you right now, this is how you, then what are you even doing? Is it dependent on you just want to compliment black women? You think that's what black women are living for? Is compliments from you that if you don't get to do it, then what will they do with their time and day? They won't know if they look good. I'm gonna tell you right now, if you compliment her hair, she's immediately like, "Damn it, I knew I needed to get this done." You're not helping. You're not doing what you think you're doing. Just like men think that they're really making your day by whistling and telling you how good you look in those pants. You're like, "I don't wanna wear these pants anymore." Anyway, it's like, just
Yeah.
c center
Well,
yourself so you don't center
it is
yourself, like,
you
calm
have to
down.
learn to compliment without objectifying, and if what you're doing is problematic, then stop doing it for a while and listen and
Yeah.
learn and
Especially if you don't know.
yeah.
If you don't know how it's problematic, that doesn't mean it's not. Okay, white people, because they go, "I don't see it that way. I don't understand. I don't get it. I'm confused." Are you saying I'm wrong because you don't get it? You're about to white-splain, the mansplaining, and all that. It just gets worse and worse. And if you don't get it, that just means one of the first walls I made, active listening lessons was, believe it first, understand it later. Because I'm not explaining myself. I'm not trying to convince you of this.
But
I'm letting you know.
yeah, and that's kinda what I mean, and I didn't have anything so catchy about that, but I've said this to quite a few white women, which is kind of that, right? It's like, well, believe that what you're doing is not working. It's not going the way you intended, and then just learn. And at some point, like you will spend enough time with black women and in black culture that you will understand how to compliment someone's hair.
Right. It'll just happen. But like, why you want to do it so bad if someone said stop? That's colonial. What do you do? How do I come? We're dying. Okay. People are dying, Kim. Like this is how dare you? I said you're unsafe and whatever, and this makes us uncomfortable. And you're saying, well, how can I do it better? Go away. I don't know. And then you're gonna tell me I'm attacking. It's a public forum. This is a public park, and that's why I'm not on the, as accessible. And we stay home, just like white women and not going out past a certain time and knives and whatever. We have to deal with distress so much more than you realize, and I think that's what we see now is a lack of distress tolerance in
Mhm.
white women, especially compared to black women, and I haven't posted about it, but I did record about it, is like, black women, we're not aware of what's going on or concerned. We're just like,
Right. Your stress
"Yeah."
tolerance is a lot higher. So somebody asked me this morning, and they were like, "So, do you have like super rock solid finances or some sorts of preparations that we're not seeing behind the scenes? Or are you just really this calm?" And my answer was literally like, I feel like I must remind you that I did not grow up in white stable democracies with the freedoms that you experience. Like, I'm literally just like, I don't want to say I'm not as afraid as you. Like, I am aware, I know where this can go, how this can go, but like,
You're
I
not as
I have a higher I have
propagandized.
a higher level of stress tolerance. Like, I've survived a lot
There,
of the
that's
things
it.
that you're already afraid of, and it's like that
Yes,
that they just
yes.
kinda don't
But the
understand.
rock solid financials as a concept is a problem. The guys with the rock solid financials are building bunkers. They're stupid. That is a stupid financial decision to think that that is what's keeping you safe from things are gonna collapse, and who's cleaning your you go
They never think the apocalypse through, right? My favorite
right.
is I've been seeing this one that's like feel good, right? And it's like, "In your apocalypse plan, don't forget your knitters and your textiles, and fiber arts is gonna be important." And I'm like, "Look, as much as I love that, what emergency are you picturing, like, in the world of fast fashion that, like, burns up all the clothes, but not all the people?" And we're, like, clothing ourselves. I always feel like this
Wait,
apocalypse,
they're
like,
saying
also
bring it
throws us but they're saying if you don't have people who know how to knit, you're gonna be walking around naked in the apocalypse because 'cause we're, like, not gonna have clothes. Yeah.
Hey, your knitting projects can also double as a screen muffler. White people is what? Floating rock, okay? I need us to zoom
But
out.
and again, this goes back to what we started with, right? And the rapture and yes, my outfit today is sort of to troll people, of course, and it's just like
No, it's good. It's such a yeah.
not barely is getting bad, but like yeah, like we're all being introduced to the first American dictator and
Wake up. Yeah.
it's gotten a little bit uncomfortable for you. The news gives you anxiety and you're already asking like so literally comes on my thing today and it's like, are we gonna be okay? Are we gonna survive this? I'm like, yeah, 360 million people are probably gonna survive. Like, in fact, no country in history has ever just spontaneously vanished because their political system wasn't
Right.
great. Like what?
And meanwhile, a black man was hung from a tree, actively still right now. It's like that's also on the news if you're watching the news, right? And that keeps happening and still is happening. And then the rapture is gonna come and go, and everybody's gonna make their little jokes, and then we're gonna move on. But the whole time, black women are undergoing the distress of you're still doing this, And I want us to zoom out, like what's and I know like whatever the Charlie Kirk murder or whatever, and people I think white people are seeing other white people for the first time experience what it's like to see someone who kind of looks like you or could be related to you, someone be murdered, end of sentence. That you now that's your this is
Right,
your first experience of
right.
that. Oh,
And here's his
that's
and here's
interesting.
his quote unquote grieving widow, right? This perfect little blonde skinny girl that we're all told we're supposed to look like, right? It's like this is I don't know if you've heard them say there was a video of someone saying Charlie Kirk died for our sins yesterday. Like, yeah,
Okay, you know what, go ahead.
it's just
Honestly,
full
because
on.
what is that even?
I know. Yeah, I mean,
I don't even nope. I see it and I'm like, "Oh, see, but if it were
Becca's like, I
me,
don't even
I
like
watch
it
a
when
lot of
they
true
say that
crime."
about Jesus.
Yeah, I just watch true crime. I'd be looking at her. "Oh, she got all the business? She got the big thing? Oh, interesting." But,
I
that's
know.
just
I know.
I focus on white women, okay? All that I just hear a lot of the celebrities and stuff making these statements, and people are like, "Oh my god, why would they say something right now?" And I'm saying it's because they feel like this is their George Floyd. It's not I am not comparing, but they feel like if this were a black person, why people would be saying stuff and how dare they look at the things he said and say this is okay because he was racist. They're not saying that, but his opinion shouldn't make it so that he should be murdered. Okay. So remember how we were saying his skin color, his potentially counterfeit bill, his potential drug
You
past,
sound
his
me so
criminality
well.
shouldn't have him be killed. So you didn't understand it when we said it, and you got to make jokes and stuff. But now you feel a little bit of what it could be.
Right?
He is antagonizing. He got canceled. Sorry. You guys talk about cancel culture all the time. He got real canceled.
Mhm.
And consequences happened.
Yeah.
That's what I'm
Well,
looking
and
at.
he
Actions,
got
results.
canceled in the exact way that he advocated for this
That's just
world
all
to
y'all.
exist.
Yeah, this is white stuff. He got canceled the way white people cancel. He called for it. He got it. Oh, not like that? Oh no. That's white people stuff too. Policing everybody's feelings about everything all the time. And it's not on me to convince people like to care. That's what I'm not talking to anybody who thinks now it's bad. Now it's really, really, really a problem. The real problem is shut up. If you're about to tell me what the real problem and who I really need to be fighting with, or I'm not fighting with anybody,
Yeah.
but they say I'm fighting, which I think is interesting.
Yeah.
They
I mean,
also
it's
hated a
been
lot
real
of black people.
interesting now that I've been saying this to people. Like, I did not grow up in white stable democracies. What
Solid
and you see
financials is
them just
crazy.
go, like I just think so many white people in America have literally never actually pictured like all of these other countries that fall to dictatorships or have corrupt political systems or have police officers that you have to openly bribe, right? Like they've literally never pictured the possibility that any of that could happen here to them, right? Because
To
they're not
them,
paying
yeah.
attention to who
Right.
it is happening to. So to them.
Right. Because when you say here, that's what they mean is right. Yeah. Yeah. And that's so hard for those of us who have been experiencing it the whole time to understand because we're like, what do you mean? What have we been
He has
screaming?
faced so many.
Lives matter, including ours. And now you're saying, hey, guys, I don't know if you know this, but lives matter. Ours too. What? Wait, what? What? You know, just, and all the focus on the colors and the blue states and the blue bracelets and the blue lives, but don't talk about color.
Mhm.
You know, it's addressing the whiteness in the
Whitewash.
room first. Yeah. You just whitewash everything and make it
As
pastel.
I'm literally blended into the wall behind me.
And which one is better, right? You know, it's the perfect analogy. It's like, I love the costume for the idea of it, but imagine this was like
Imagine
the
I was, like,
goal,
actually wearing this trying to look good.
right? And like, you got to keep it. Imagine you have like a bunch of white, don't eat anything, don't have a period. Oh, then everyone will
'Cause that's
know.
the white outfits, right? It's just
Yep.
like, now you have to be perfect all the time.
Don't eat, don't nothing.
And
Don't touch
it
your
is
dog, don't
funny
have
because I
fun.
do wear, different white outfits sometimes, and people will be like, "Oh, I couldn't do anything." And I'm like, "Yeah, sometimes you just spill something on your white outfit and then you just have a stain or you have to change." And like, "Okay.
But people will know.
Yeah, okay."
Hey, people will know you spilled a thing once. They'll know you ate this morning.
But
Did you had
also,
some
like,
coffee?
you know how often I wash these white pants? Every single time I wear them. You know how often I wash a pair of dark pants? Not every single time I wear it. So you're just
But see?
walking around with the spills on your pants, right? Because, like,
Yeah,
you can't
and
see
I
it.
think that's okay. There's a happy middle ground there, but it's interesting that the white ones keep you busy, keep you
Right.
worried and washing. And never your legs. It's like you're washing your clothes, you're washing, I'm sorry. I'm gonna get over the washing thing eventually, but it haunts me. It's haunting me. And because it's like so fundamental anyway. They're so like we're civilized. You know what's civilized? War. Civil wars. Let's do it. That's some whiteness. You know what's really primitive? Fighting one on one. I would rather the presidents fight each other. I'll say that every time. I think we would all watch that. You want ratings? Make them fight each other. Gladiators, but different.
WWE.
That's what I'm saying.
Or,
We would
like,
watch
a
it.
dance battle.
I'm here for all of that. Way
Just,
better
like,
than sending the troops to murder.
like, Obama versus McCain or, like, Kamala versus Donald Trump.
I feel like I can see, like, back in the day when people used to do those, and they, like, make them dance and, like, the whatever, back when things were a little bit more fun and less aware. But, yeah, I think that would be great. You know who would win? The better person. The one with more seasoning and flavor. And then the other one would just be trying. Listen, anything but sending other strangers to do stuff for you in the name of freedom. What? For the freedom of religion. What's the religion? We believe in our religion that you're not free, actually. So we need the freedom to practice not freedom.
But so I've actually been writing about the Puritans, right? Because I keep saying, like, the Puritans was a cult, and now I'm like, okay, I need to, like, write that down so
Yeah,
people can see it.
I don't even know who they
And it's
were.
like, but it was exactly this. We are gonna establish a land where we're free to practice our religion, and our religion says you are not free. And you have to they've literally part of the City on a Hill speech was, "And we're only gonna do things our way according to the rules."
That's America, right? We came here and said freedom of religion to enslave, and our religion says enslaved people. And just like Scientology does the same thing. Freedom of our religion to harass and abuse people, and you can't get into it because it's in our documents that this guy wrote,
Oh my
who
god.
is dead, by the
Did
way.
I tell
He's
you
dead, so how dare you?
did I tell you, Scientology had to stop suing people because they get discovery in court and they keep being proved to be a cult?
That's why we have to call the bluff. We can't be so
Yes.
scared. And that's we get back to the whiteness of it all. It's like you're scared to say something because they'll come attack you. Yeah. And that'll be proof that they're the problem. I'm sorry. Just like me making white women whisper. At the same time, yes, it proves that racism is real because watch these white women attack me for trying to help them. And like, yeah, but that's not why I'm doing it, not to prove them but at the same time, that's what it does. I call them out and people learn and they go, oh, if it was such a good religion, why would we be attacking our former executives that we were told to praise? Make them deal with the stuff. But sometimes it's hard to be one of the first people. You don't know if your slow clap is going to hit. Like, oh, I'm starting it. Are we all? Uh oh. Uh oh. And I'm looking for y'all to come join me in the slow clap. But white women are like, but what if we get in trouble?
Yeah.
I don't know. Then we figure it
And
out.
I mean, that's a big part of, I think, the lack of response right now, which has been like white people, and I specifically say white women because women in many other countries are the ones that lead responses and revolution and pushback. And it's like,
There's a reason I'm
again,
only
like
talking to women.
this fear that you're going to go out there and you're going to be the only one out there. Well, like, okay, do it. You know what? Like,
It's never proven to be true either. Like, look at how all of these cases, with the Me Too movement, that just showed me white women are waiting for their opportunity to speak, but it's messed up because it took a black woman and then you colonize that. And what happened? Nothing really, except we all know now. So maybe something is happening. It's slower, but white women always come and slow everything down with their questions anyway, and their, articles.
just listen.
And it just,
Just listen
we could
first.
move together now, but instead they were like, me too. And then they were like, no, me too, me too. And then they started being all weird about it.
You need to.
But, once the first person comes out, they usually start going, oh, once I realized it wasn't just me, I spoke. And that's when I realized women are the answer because when we know what's happening to others, that's when we start acting. When we think it's just us, we stay
Right.
silent. Just like we were talking about, you said,
Yeah.
make sure they don't know you're crying and that
And
this hurts you.
this is why, like, I found the survivors conference of the Epstein list. Like, I was like, oh shit, this could work, right? Like, if, all of these rich, powerful men, right? Some of the most rich, powerful men in the world are doing everything they can to scare these victims, right? Like, we'll sue you, we'll blah, blah, blah. You can't prove it. They forgot that survivors establishing a pattern of behavior is
Hmm.
proof, right? And
Hmm.
this is why they work so hard to make us shut up and be quiet and be white and skinny and blend into the background. Because once we start talking, we realize that guy has abused everyone in that same way, right? And we can
Hmm.
get together. And it's like, I mean, who knows, right? But I'm like, if like banding together and survivor testimony takes down some really powerful people, right? Like that could have incredible shockwaves and repercussions.
Yeah.
But it is this like you got to stand up and say it happened first, You got to be willing
And they
to talk about it
yeah,
and not know what the
and
fallout
trust other
is.
people have that experience. Like what we were
Right.
talking about earlier with the agent, is that just because some guy says no one will believe you, a man in a system says historically and systemically no one will believe you. That's not true. And even in those cases where no one believed her, Anita Hill and things like that, I would say she still would say I would do it again. I
I
don't know.
just
I
got
don't know
this
her.
amazing book called I Still
But so
Believe Anita Hill. And I'm gonna
see,
start reading some stuff.
this is
Yeah.
what that was perfect. Exactly. And so it's not listening to the man with the suit say, no one, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Why would you listen? He doesn't know
Right.
everyone. His conclusivity to me is one of those culty cues. If you hear someone say something so definitively like that about other people, speaking for, you're being spoken for. I'm speak for her on behalf of, stop. Is he white? What does he
Yeah.
know?
And
History?
has he spent his
Gross.
time out there trying to sell that story? No, then how would he know? Right?
He
Like
doesn't want to.
that's
That's what he's
that's one of the
saying.
things I tell people is like stop taking advice from people who haven't done the thing you're trying to do. Like why
Exactly.
are you listening to them? But,
Mhm.
I think
Why are they talking?
one of the great takeaways from this was like it all comes down to this fear of like standing out and being different and being human, which is what these cults don't want you to be, right?
Right. Don't be a
You're
black
supposed to be
woman.
bland, you're supposed to not stand out, you're supposed to
And that's why we're not good culture fits
you
often,
know,
right?
like
Black women are not good
I
culture fits
always
for a reason.
I always think it's funny that like you can be too pretty, right? Which shows, I think to me shows that like you're not supposed to stand out in any way,
Mhm.
right? You be
Mhm.
too smart, right? You're not these things that we think of as good qualities, but you're not supposed to have that in groups,
You're not
right?
supposed to know you have
Like,
it either. Like, they're allowed to see it in you, and they're allowed to tell you, "Oh, you don't know you're beautiful, and that's what makes you beautiful." Right? And you're allowed to be smart, but only if you don't feel smart. You're allowed to be pretty if you don't feel pretty.
yeah, you're
But
definitely
because
not
if you're
allowed to
pretty
know
and you
and
know it,
own your
yeah. Oh, and I had to learn the whole with the light skin thing. It's like, attractive to who, all that stuff. Black people, we got it too. We got colorism. You guys got colorism with hair and it's weird and eyes and stuff. But realizing that, no, to people who will just objectify me, cool, great,
Yeah, like, standing
wonderful.
out is not bad. Being different's not bad. And for all of you white people that were taught, like, the rapture was gonna come and leave you behind, like, being left behind is not bad.
Yeah, we're having fun here. Think about all the people who have been good, capital G, in your life. Do you wanna hang out with them for the
Or
what do they think? It's eternity or something? Rest of ever? Wait, also, why do you wanna be alive for the rest of ever? You're not even doing anything now, white people wanna live to eternity. You don't live today.
yeah, you're not even living in your life right now.
They're like, "I wanna be alive forever." For what? To colonize living?
One of the biggest
Sorry.
secrets to me to being happy and enjoying my life and overcoming my trauma was, like, live in your life now. Don't
Yeah,
always
that's how
be
you
don't
really get
always
them.
be waiting for the next day, like, don't always be, "Oh, Jesus is gonna come back." Enjoy your
He care about
life
you.
now.
I don't know. I don't know I don't get the Jesus stuff, and I'm just like, "Who is this? Is he scary? What are we
The
thinking
Bible
he's gonna do?"
literally says he's coming like a thief in the night.
What?
Yeah, part of talking about Jesus coming back, nobody knows the day nor the hour, he comes like a thief in the night.
But then you just said this and okay,
That's probably not
okay.
exactly right, but people
No,
will
but, like,
leave us the context in the notes. Thanks, folks.
also, is it in the Bible that they say all sins are created equal? Do they say that?
No.
Okay. I heard somebody say, like, all sin is created equal, and I don't know if that's in there because all men, I think very similar. Well, either way, I'm gonna take it. All men are created equal, all sin are created equal. Put them together. Okay. I think that was the problem. All right. We're not equal. We weren't created. We're just here. Calm down. But, the men.
We're
And they
just
just said, all men are
here
created
trying to
equal. And
get
we're like,
through
us
it,
too.
and it gives me the ultimate, like, what preppers really are, right? People that are obsessed with disaster, like, ruin their whole lives. They're so scared a disaster is gonna come and end or ruin their lives that they ruin their whole lives anyway, preparing for that
Yeah,
disaster. So, I think this is great advice
that's
right
it.
now to just live in right now, live in the day that we're in. Yes, it's scary. Being scared is not gonna kill you. Just be
Right.
here
You're,
with
you-
the rest of
you're
us.
making the problem.
Be here with the rest of us, because even when it's scary, what was I think Dan Savage talking about the AIDS crisis in the '80s, and he said, we went to work during the day, we went to funerals in the afternoons, and we danced at night. Or no, we fought during the
Mhm.
day, we went to funerals at noon, then we danced at night, and the dance kept us fighting because we were fighting for the dance. Something wildly
Mm.
paraphrasing, but it's like,
Yeah, yeah.
you have to remember that, like, you're not, like, living for the emergency and, like, finding some rest and some joy and some community on the side. Like, live in your life, make joy a daily practice, and then also be prepared for, like, bad stuff to come, but
Right.
just
Don't operate off of crisis management. And like when you were talking about the military and stuff, I was thinking about that. It's like you're doing all of this so that in a time of crisis you will be calm. It gives rapture, like why are
oh,
we in
yeah.
what
Oh,
crisis?
yeah.
Why are you're creating crises now so that you can practice being calm in a crisis that you are
And when I tell you coming home from a deployment gives the rapture didn't happen and now you have to go back to work, and
and
tomorrow
that's a whole new trauma.
there's going to be a lot of evangelicals dealing with depression because they really hyped themselves up for this to happen. And it's like,
Do you do you oh, that's interesting. I was gonna say, do you think depression comes right away? Or because I feel like there's, like, a bargaining and
I
there's, like,
mean,
a
yeah, I don't
whole
know that
it's probably
depression
different.
was the right word, but I try to talk about
I
this in my
understand, yeah.
apocalypse chapter in my book where I'm like, as a 13-year-old, like I hear what I'm being told, like this is bad,
Mhm.
this is a disaster, but the adults seem very excited. And then when
Ooh,
midnight hit and nothing happened, they seemed very disappointed, right? So
yeah.
it was almost like a weird thing about explaining to people too, like when you were all set to deploy, right? You've shut everything down in your life, you've turned everything off. Like this is basically what people have been doing to prepare for the rapture because you're leaving your life for a year and then you want it to come. And sometimes your deployment will get delayed a little bit and it's really upsetting because you're like, I just want to go. Like I just want to go and get started on this year that I have to get through, you know? And
Yeah, because 'cause you're prepping, you're preparing yourself, you're trying to get
once
through it, get
you're,
over it.
and I say
Oh my
this, like
god.
often cult leaders will precipitate their own apocalypse because after all of that prepping and all of that almost like edging, if you will, right?
Yeah,
It's like you got to have an explosion. Something's got to
something's
be
gotta
the
happen.
climax of all of this.
Not just distress tolerance and changing your
It's
mind and
also
new life
probably a good
plan.
thing for not white people to know that, like, a lot of the white people are gonna be really mad on Wednesdays. So, like, this one ain't be
They're
out
mad all the
yet,
time.
but take care of yourself
They
this
can be mad.
weekend,
Thanks,
you
listen,
know?
we're not gonna be
Yeah,
surprised when white people
it's
are
not gonna be
not
different.
great, you know?
Yeah, unfortunately.
It is funny, I mean, it's not
All
funny.
right.
It's I don't know.
I think we must wrap up.
Yes.
This has been a good this has been a good conversation. I'm gonna tell you something you already know, but I was driving the other day and I was thinking about our podcast and I was like, "Huh, I'm just Rebecca's public client." And I go out in the world and I white woman everywhere, and then I come back here and we process
Right?
it.
Kinda, because I was thinking, I was like, "You're kind of, like, not in a like, the guest,
But
you're like the guest
right,
on the Hey
right,
White
and
Women podcast, but you're like the every
I was
woman,
looking for a
white
way to
woman."
say it that wasn't, like, model, but it's like we're
Right.
like,
We're
I'm just
figuring it out.
doing it out loud, and I thought that was cool because I was thinking about the Black therapist character that's in, so many white people shows
Yeah.
where they're trying to be diverse, and then I was like, "Oh, but Rebecca kinda is my Black therapist."
Like, specifically, it's very intentional.
Yeah,
It's like, as a
specifically to
creator.
help deconstruct the white supremacy. Oh, and because I was talking with someone
Yeah.
who was like, "When you do work on Un-American, like, having Rebecca involved in that will be really important as you're unlocking the whiteness." And I was
Yeah, and that is I am like the and I try to walk the mammy trope very carefully. I think we do a really good job, but we're pioneers in this. I don't know. In my head, because 'cause I'm like, this is what I would wanna do for white women deconstructing, like,
yeah,
just in general, and you guys come from the same place, and you are open and ready and at the deconstructing place of it. So it's like, "Oh, you can be the conduit." I'm kind of like that middle ground conduit between Black women and white women, and I'm like, "See, but this is what's" and I
yeah,
can you go and you tell people
exactly.
the
Yep.
things,
Tell
so I
people
don't
to
have
come
to.
back here, and it's in the book.
Yeah,
Uh, Thanks everybody for listening to us
thank y'all.
today. White women, thanks for doing the work. Black women, thanks for your patience. And please like and subscribe. Follow Rebecca on her Patreon, which will be linked below. And let's go take out white supremacy.
It's a little thing.